Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Nick. Nick is from New York City in the USA. So let's see what Nick has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello, Nicholas.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Very good. Thanks so much for taking the time for the interview today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for choosing me, some random guy from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn is the place where you grew up and being raised?
Yeah, born and raised 30 years. Wow. When I really say the number 30, it really hits me. I'm going to say 20 plus 10. Let's say 20 plus 10. That's a better way to say it. But yeah, Brooklyn is basically all I know. It's life, essentially.
Tell me, what was the best part of growing up in Brooklyn, New York City?
Well, being that Brooklyn is very close to Manhattan, and Manhattan's a very popular tourist spot, there's a lot of things to go see, whether it's the World Trade Center, the Empire State Building, Times Square. There's a lot of places in the city too. All you have to do is just walk, just take a stroll down the avenue. You'd be surprised what you could find. But in terms of Brooklyn itself, it has its own little differences that's, I would say, different from the city and different from all the other boroughs. Whereas where I'm at, it's really trying to think of like the right way to say it. It's like I mentioned before, it's the food, it's the culture, it's nobody makes pizza like we make it, pasta, sauce, you name it. Brooklyn is pretty much that. I pretty much, growing up, in a tight knit family, we always used to get together every Sunday, have dinner, pasta, have conversation. It was every single Sunday. That's how us Italians do it. So every Sunday had something to look forward to, and I always used to have to tell Grandma about the science fair project, but she always managed to get it done. Never quite made it to the science fair, but I always got a good grade. And you know, nowadays, being 30 and not really having that Sunday dinner to look forward to every Sunday, it hits a little bit different. But I know the memories are always going to live in here. They'll live in here. So if I want to just take a time trip back, all I have to do is just think about it, and a really good childhood will pretty much set the foundation for that.
Wow, I'll tell you something now. I growing up back in Brazil, I had a dream to go to New York City. I don't know why there was a dream, and since I've been living in London, so a few years ago. My best friend, he lives in Montreal in Canada, and he was working in New York City for a week. And he just called me, William, do you want to come to New York City? I was like, what? And literally, I just got a plane and I will spend 5 days there. And the first day, I was staying in Manhattan. And the first day, we just took a bicycle, cycling, and we were going all the way from Manhattan to Brooklyn. So we spent the whole afternoon in Brooklyn. The sun was very sunny as well. So it was like a welcome to New York City, like spending the first day in Brooklyn.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty much as good as you can make it. Plus, you got the bike experience. I didn't really have the bike experience. First time I tried to learn how to ride a bicycle, my cousin sat me on one and then proceeded to steer me right into a fence. I got off. I said, nope, we're staying on the ground. That's how we're going to do it now.
And what do you do for work?
So I wear a lot of different hats. I'm a journalist. So I've been writing for, 2011, 2023. Do the math, carry the one. That's 12 years, if I'm not mistaken. So, I've been writing for about 12 years now. I run my own website, actually, which is about music. It's called The Music Bugle. I launched it about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Kind of started as its own, independent, what if I cover the bands nobody else covers, type deal. Over time, I've gotten attention from mainstream outlets. So now it's kind of like a hub for both mainstream and independent acts. And then I'll do a lot of interviews as well. So this is the irony, is that, actually the subject of an interview, whereas many times I'm usually in your seat. So I know what it's like to have to like prepare questions and, watch a lot of YouTube videos, and sometimes you get sidetracked. But, at the core of it, you get to talk to people, find out what makes them tick, what makes them enjoy life, basically. And I've covered a whole bunch of different fields too. It's not just music. I've covered politics. I covered sports. I've done current events. I've done blood drives. I covered a birthday party for a 106-year-old lady one time. That was
Oh my
interesting.
God.
Yeah. And yeah, so journalism has kind of been my calling, I guess you could say. Of course, it doesn't pay the bills. I also have a day job, so I work in retail. And sometimes the people could be rough there, but at the end of the day, I always like to make sure I'm me. So no matter what you get, it's authentic Nick, and that's gonna come through no matter what I do, whether it's over there, over here, or with you right now.
Amazing. So I'm gonna call you Nick instead of Nicholas.
Go for it. Go for it. I usually have all three names, Nicholas Jason Lopez, only because it's such a common name. And it can be hard. If you Google Nicholas Lopez, you'll see how diverse the results are going to be. If you Google Nicholas Jason Lopez, however, you'll find everything I've written on the first page, which it just tells me just go with it. Just keep it going. But yeah, you can call me Nick.
Nick, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views? Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So this is my best friend, okay? From the phone questions. I'm just going to play a song now just for us to move a little bit before the first question, okay? Let's do it. Okay, Nick, so before we start the game, during the journey, if there is a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
All right.
Let's do it. First question for you is, what does happiness mean to you?
It just means enjoying life. At the end of the day, you have to do what makes you happy. And if what you're doing isn't making you happy, you have all the tools and resources to change that.
Do you believe that happiness is a choice?
I think it's more of a mood than a choice, but you can have it either way you want. At the end of the day, like I mentioned, happiness is what we all work towards. Sometimes you might not be in the best situation for it, but I believe ultimately if you have it set, to get to where you want to get to, whether it's at the end of the year or 5 years, you're fully capable.
See. All right. And when have you been the most happy, in your opinion?
Ironically, I think it was right after college. I had landed an internship with the local newspaper. I was also working at a restaurant, and I was also doing a whole bunch of other things as well. So I guess I'm most happy when I'm juggling a lot of different things. The downside is that there's no downtime, but the upside to it is that it could be as productive as you can if you throw a lot on your plate. Of course, over the years, I've kind of refined that a little bit to slow things down. I've learned to take it easy a little bit. Catching up is okay. But yeah, I've always called myself somewhat of a go-getter. The opportunity won't always present itself. You have to go out and find it sometimes. And sometimes opportunities do land in your lap. So life right now is just kind of like a combination of both.
I see. All right. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, Nick from New York City. Next question for you is, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
That's the thing. I usually not a big fan of like long-term planning. I hope in 5 years I would be happy. Whether I'm still doing what I'm doing right now, or maybe it's a better place. We're always looking to elevate ourselves, but At the end of the day, if I'm not where I want to be, it's no reason to get sad. Maybe in 10 years I'll get to where I want to get.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think sometimes you just need to go with the flow. How things gonna come, you just need to manage how to get there, isn't it? I believe. Next one, let's do it. Hey, Nick. Say again?
I'm really liking that music. It's got a jam vibe to it. I'm feeling it.
Before the next question, tell me what do you like the most of being a journalist, and what's the most challenging part?
So definitely the most challenging part would be trying to get people to open up. It's not always the easiest task. I've had assignments where I've had to go out and talk to people on the street, random people on the street, about questions, about subjects that, you don't really get to talk about often. Like, for example, I had the enjoyable task of stopping, I think, 8 or 10 people on the street and having to ask them about a water bill, which half the people didn't even know what the water bill was. So you have to explain what the situation is. And at the very end, you have to get their name and picture. And you can get the quote, you can get the name, but they may not want the picture. You gotta throw the whole thing out and start over again. So I would say, just talking to random people, that in of itself could be a challenge. I tend to flourish more in stories where I already know who to talk to. I have access to the event planner. They'll just kind of show me around, and then I'll work my story from there. Other times, you just kind of have to make a mountain out of a pebble. It's a hard thing to do sometimes. But yeah, like I mentioned previously, I would say the most rewarding aspect of journalism is, well, besides getting to find things out before the general public, that's kind of like a cool little VIP access type feel to it. It's at the end of the day, it's just getting to tell stories and getting to meet people and seeing what happens when you put the two of them together.
All right. Next question for you is, who in your family you'd trade place with, and why, if you could?
It's an interesting one. I'd probably say my brother. Yeah, he's older. He's 10 years older. He's in a lot better shape than I am. He's got like a ripped 6-pack.
Wow.
He's in Florida right now. He's like a restaurant manager. If you were to ask me, where do you see yourself in 10 years? All I have to say is, let me see what my brother's up to. And that's kind of like a good insight to what's happening now, So I would say, yeah, probably my brother.
Is just two of you, or you have more siblings?
No, just one. So it's just me and him. He's 9 years older. I'm 9 years younger. I still have the fountain of youth. He's about to hit 40, but no shade, all son.
And what's the biggest similarity between both of you?
Well, the ironic thing is we're years apart, but we have the same type of voice. Like our facial structures are kind of the same. If both of us are on the phone with somebody else, they actually can't tell the difference between us both. But the ironic thing is a lot of his interests are things that I'm also into as well. Like, he introduced me to a lot of things growing up. Professional wrestling, back in like the late 90s when it was the WWF and WCW, got me into that like heavily, to the point to where we both still watch it now. And we'll text each other about the show, things like that. Music, he definitely got me into a lot of the music that I listen to currently. I cover all genres on my website, but in terms of what I actually like to listen to, if I had the choice, I would go with like alternative music, pop punk, punk rock, things like that. I'll just name drop a couple of bands, things like Newfound Glory or Bouncing Souls or, AFI, things like that. He actually introduced me to a lot of those things growing up. And while I've kind of gone and taken my own path with it, it always roots back to the foundation of, he's the one who introduced me to it. So I'll always have him to thank.
Amazing. Very good. Next question. Let's do it. Look at you showing some moves.
Yeah.
Next question for you is, what is the best gift have you ever received and from whom?
It's a good question. I mean, I got a lot of things here and there. In terms of gifts, I'm not sure if I can actually point to a physical one that I've gotten, but over time, where I've covered stories, you know, I've gotten like thank you letters, or I'll get things in the mail sometimes, you know, just from publicists, you know, thank you so much for covering their client. It's those things that circle back to why I do what I do in the first place, and it's not the money. The money would be nice, but you know, the money isn't always the reason why we do what we do. You have to love it. You have to, you know what you want, go after it. And you know, 12 years removed from the reason why I started to want to write, you know, it always hits me. You know, you're making a difference in people's lives, even if you don't necessarily see it. You know, that article could be making its way around, and I had no idea about it, but it's gonna have my name on it. But the impact that it's going to have on people's lives, you know, those are the things I don't even stop to think about. And you know, some of the thank you letters I've gotten over the years just kind of reminds me, you know, hey, you know, you're doing something good. You're doing a service for the people.
See, and do you like to give gifts sometimes?
Ironically enough, I hate giving gifts. It's like you have to like. It depends on how well you know the person. You have to know what they're into. You know, what if I give too little? What if I give too much? You know, I tend to. I'll show my appreciation in other ways. You know, I'm always like the guy people turn to do favors for them or help them out of situations. You know, I'll use my networking abilities to kind of see, you know, what opportunities I could get other people. Um, but like in terms of gifts, like not really in lines of like physical gifts. I just like to think I like to give back through gestures, and you know, always help your fellow man. You know, because you never know what situation you may end up in tomorrow. Maybe they'll be able to help you out the way you help them. You know.
I'm so terrible find gifts as well. It's always for me a struggle, like Christmas time, or if I need to buy a present for a friend, I always get myself like, you know, struggling myself, and I get nervous because I'm not fine. I change my mind. I try to find something, and after I change my mind as well again. So yeah, I totally understand what you mean. It can be really hard sometimes.
And I work in retail. We just passed holiday time. I rung up so many gift cards. I'm over it.
Ready for another one?
Yes, go for it.
Let's do it. Okay, Nick, before the next one, tell me about your tattoo in your arms.
Oh, yeah, this is a penguin. Hold on, I'm gonna adjust the lighting on my monitor. So
what's the meaning?
So, it stems from a nickname I have at work. When I first started, one of the customers had went to my boss and said something to the extent of, "Oh, you know, this guy is nice and everything, but he kind of reminds me of a penguin the way he struts around." And I was just like, the name kind of just took off its own. And eventually everybody just started calling me penguin, or they call me bird, or you know, things like that. And I was like, I like tattoos. They're like a form of self-expression. I have two other ones too on my ankle. One is a Yankees logo because I'm a big Yankees fan. I've always been into baseball since I was like 12 or 13. Another one is Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life, a TV show from the early and mid 90s from Nickelodeon. And you know, I kind of kept the cartoon theme going, so that's where the penguin came in. There was no like fancy thought behind this. I literally just Google searched, you know, penguin, and I looked to see, you know, what was most unique, what stood out the most, and my friend here was the one that stuck out. I had the choice to give him color. I decided he should have color, and he actually matches my Rocco tattoo too. So 222. That's fun. But yeah, it's that's where I would say the meaning for that came from. It's kind of like a sort of like an inside joke, but not really an inside joke. I always like to be, you know, you can wear a T-shirt with the name of some obscure band, and people may not know what in the world that is, but I'll know what it is. And to anybody else that, you know, is in on it, they'll get it too. I always feel like there's something cool about that. I don't know.
How old is this tattoo you have in your arm?
I got this about maybe 4 months ago.
Oh, it's quite recently.
Yeah, it's
I see. Okay. Next question is, if you won the lottery, what would be your first big splurge?
yeah. Well, if it had the money, I would definitely look beyond a Brooklyn apartment. I may, see what else is out there. Make a mansion shopping. I don't know. That's assuming I win the lottery. That's pretty big odds. um, but yeah, that would probably be the first thing I would look at. Obviously, I would share the money with good friends, good family, things like that, and then see what I'm left with, and then shop around from there. But over here in New York, we have well, I think it's the whole United States, the Mega Millions, and right now I think it's like close to $1 billion, which is kind of crazy, And usually I'm not one to play the lotto, but there's times where I want to jump in that pool and get it, but I'm like, odds of winning it are so slim, and there's other things you could spend money on too, but like they always say, you got to be in it to win it. So maybe I will play.
And if you play and if you get something, remember of the magic box, okay?
Yeah, I'll definitely remember the magic box and your family.
When you are flying on your private jet somewhere, so, oh my God, I've been in the magic box.
Good point. Wait, I'll tell the pilot, circle back. We gotta drop off some gifts to you.
So you can pass in London, like just drop up in London. So you know what? Yeah, just tell your route, please.
We'll drop off a rescue box, goodies.
Amazing. Next one. All right. Next question for you is, what has been the happiest point of your life? But we already talked about that. I'm gonna change the question. Okay. Next question for you is, who was your favorite teacher and why?
That's a good question. Over the years, I've had a multitude of good teachers, whether it was like English teachers I've had over the years, or journalism teachers I've had over the years, professors. There's one that I could think of. He kind of like showed me the way to go about, journalism, how it could be a tough competitive field, but if you have that go-getter mindset, you can pretty much accomplish anything. And then my kindergarten teacher, I really enjoyed my kindergarten teacher. She was like absolute doll.
Did you like school as a child?
Yeah, I did actually. My mom used to tell me, she used to have to lie to me to tell me like school wasn't happening so that I wouldn't have to go. That was elementary school. Middle school, I was closer with people. High school was like a mix of both. I was kind of on my own for a little bit, and then I made some really good friends who I'm still friends with to this day, from high school, which is ironic. Not a lot of people get to say that. College was more about finding myself, so I kind of, got to dive deep into a pool where I didn't really have any micromanagement from people. I just kind of was free to do my own thing. So every institution has its own positive. But yeah, I would circle back to the earliest part and the latest part. So definitely my journalism professor and my kindergarten teacher.
Sweet. Do you remember her name?
Yeah. Her name's Turner now. Back then it was Nezowitz. I haven't seen her in years. If she stumbles upon this, hopefully you're doing well.
Amazing. 3 questions left for you, Nick. Let's do it. But before the next question, tell me how music came into your life, and also tell me about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, sure. So, in terms of music, I, growing up in the 90s, you're exposed to a whole bunch of different genres. I used to hear Biggie on the radio at like age 5 or 6. Spice Girls were around. boy bands, TRL, all of that craze. So I kind of grew up when music and pop culture were really starting to come to a head within the age of the new millennium. And it kind of shaped my childhood, definitely for sure. I also, there's also a lot of bands that I would hear songs by. Looking back on it now, I've had to look up their songs years later, or they'll play their music in my store. And with the art of technology, all you have to do is just literally talk to your watch and it'll pull up the song, you add it to your library, and that's that. But yeah, music has definitely always been around some way, some sort. Even now, you incorporated into your show. I run a website, covering it to an extent. So it's been around from the moment you're born. It's going to be around long after you're gone. It's always going to be there no matter what. And the power of music can be a very interesting thing. Music has the ability to get you out of a funk. It has the ability to motivate. It has the ability to, try people to do things that they want to do, no matter what field it is. It can help people through stressful times. Um, the benefits really outweigh the negative, in my opinion.
Yes, music easily. I think my entire day is filled up with music. It's impossible for me to leave home without listen to some music. I go to the gym, music as well. On the way to work, music as well. Even sometimes when I'm feeling melancholic or sad for some reason, I have some music, and it's part of your life, as you said. It's always going to be there. And so YouTube channel is all about music as well.
Yes. So my YouTube channel is under my regular name. It's you could Google search Nicholas Jason Lopez. I'm sure it'll pop up. Right now, it's a gallery of videos I've shot at past concerts I've gone to. Songs by bands that I've covered. Looking to expand it in the year to come. I got a few things I'm willing and trying to experiment on. I usually do a lot of podcast appearances or interviews. So when he gave me this offer, I jumped right on it. I think of myself as a not like a personality, but as someone who just is chill, enjoy what I do. I might be funny. People tell me I'm hilarious. I don't know. I don't have any evidence of that, but proof is in.
I see. All right. Next question is, what does success mean to you?
What's the quote? I believe they say success is what happens when hard work meets preparation. And I kind of believe that. Not saying you have to prepare for every single part of your life. Spontaneity could be a good thing too. But in terms of where I'm at in my life, I sort of like a mix of both. I like having a set plan, open to the idea that interruptions are going to happen, opportunities are going to come along, and you just kind of have to incorporate that into your daily life. So in terms of what success is, I don't think it's necessarily numbers. I don't think it's necessarily metrics. You can't really put a measurement on how positively you've affected somebody's life. Nobody's going to walk up to you and tell you, Nicholas, you made my life 33% better today. It's not realistic. The more formal way you're going to say that is, hey, Nicholas, you really made a difference in my life. I'm doing so and so now. I just want to thank you so much for that. And like I mentioned before, I've gotten a lot of thank you letters, people that come up to me, tell me how they enjoyed my story. Those are the things that hit home. And, it's why I keep doing what I do. I mean, not to say I don't get down sometimes about, like lack of results or, maybe I'm not where I thought I was going to be 5 years ago. But no reason to get down on it. Like I mentioned way earlier back then, if you have the tools and resources to get you from point A to point B, go at your own pace. Turtle in the hare. It's a cliche story, classic, but don't rush to get to where you want to get to, thinking you have all the answers, because you'd be surprised. You may get sent right back to the beginning. And if you go at life at your own pace, you can control a lot of what happens. And it's always best to learn, read, watch TV. It's not being lazy. It's opening your mind to a world of different things. We've only scratched the surface of things that we know as humans. You could expand your horizons, and you'd be shocked what you could come up with.
Absolutely. Good answer. My God, I love that. I really like that. Amazing. 2 questions left for you. Let's do it. Okay, Nick from New York City. Next question is, what's your big idol and what have you learned with this person?
Big idol. I don't know if I necessarily have just one. I think it's like a multitude of people, whether they're in professions that I follow, whether it's like journalists, things like that. Right now I'm reading Barbara Walters' book, Audition, which came out in 2009, but when she passed away recently, it kind of renewed my interest. And in the book, she explains about how she got to where she got to, rich family, but she didn't really get to see any of the benefits of that. She had to work hard to break ground, and she was like the first female to really break the mainstream media glass ceiling. And over the years, she's become a big name, obviously interviewing everybody under the sun. Hopefully, that's where I would hopefully want to see myself, kind of following that same pattern. But you can't necessarily track it down to just her. There's other people as well. There's musicians that I follow. Just their energy and vibe it sells their product. It makes you want to check them out. Whether it's TV shows or movies, you can get behind characters. They don't have to be necessarily real to want to motivate you. So where I'm at, I usually I'll read a lot of books, I'll watch a lot of movies, I'll watch a lot of TV shows. The things that motivate me will usually come from one of those 3 things. And I just it's not necessarily following their footsteps, but kind of seeing, how they did what they did and how you can do what you do, but, kind of make it your own thing.
Amazing. Ready for the last question?
Yes, go for it.
Last one. Let's do it, Nick. Okay, but before the last question, let's see. People who've never been in New York City before and they come to Brooklyn for the very first time, tell me something that they only can find in Brooklyn. They cannot find anywhere else in New York City. What that would be, in your opinion?
All right, definitely. So I have the blessing of happening to live about maybe 10 minutes away from this place, but it's a pizzeria called Spumoni Gardens. We call it L&B. They're mostly known for their Sicilian squares, which is kind of like a square-shaped pizza. Whereas traditional pizza will have the sauce followed by the cheese on top. This place does it the opposite way. They put the cheese first and then the sauce on top of that. And it's been a neighborhood staple since 1939. Of course, I wasn't born back then, so I don't know what it was like back then. But I know what it was like, after I was born, and it's been pretty good. It's very popular. A lot of people still come out to it. They built another one in another part of Brooklyn called Dumbo, but the original one will always be over here. And you can't replicate that no matter what. You could take Brooklyn out of something, but ultimately, at the end of the day, Brooklyn is going to be Brooklyn.
Next time when I come to New York City, I know already where I'm going to go to eat pizza. Done.
Yes, you have to. It's a must. You eat pizza, and I'll drop off your charity package when I win the lotto.
Amazing. Last question for you is, what is the best compliment have ever received?
That's a good question. I got a lot of them. Not to sound cocky or confident or anything, but I would just say most of the people who get me are the ones who understand, what I'm trying to be. You're gonna have a multitude of people who don't like you just because you're you, and you're gonna want to change everything about yourself to please these people. But that's not necessarily the right thing. Just continue being yourself. For every 50 people that don't like you, there's another 50 in another room somewhere that just may like what you're serving them.
Absolutely. And those people who doesn't dislike us for some reason, we need those people as well. They are part of the journey as well. I think they would be too boring if everyone loves you for some reason.
Yeah, 100%. You come to appreciate the people who appreciate you more when you take into account the ones that maybe necessarily don't like you. And that's not to say I haven't converted some people. I've turned some haters into winners, but at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. And if that doesn't line up with what somebody else sees you doing, that's not necessarily a reason to get disorganized or disheveled. As long as you're doing what makes you happy, that's all you have to do.
Amazing. Okay, not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words, and you just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Sure.
So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game.
Sure.
Money.
Green.
Family.
Dinner.
How about love?
Love.
Yeah.
Hearts.
Life.
Death.
Sex.
Message.
Oh, politics.
President.
How about fear?
Airplanes.
So you cannot buy a private jet then to come to London. You need to find another way. A yacht.
Well, you could get when I'm sleeping, carry me onto it. I'll tell the pilot, where you're at, and he'll do the work.
It's a private jet anyway. You're not gonna be scared. Somehow it's different. It's safer.
I guess that's true. And it just stems from my cousin told me a story about how he's recently gone skydiving, and oh my god, you should try it. It's so liberating, thrilling. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stay on the ground. That's where I flourish.
Religion.
Cross.
Friendship.
Love.
Desire.
Needs.
Regrets.
None.
Success.
Success. That's funny. That's the word that stumped me. I would just say work.
Okay. Wish.
Stars.
Happiness.
Success.
How about New York City?
Landmarks.
One word for Brooklyn.
That's a good. There's a lot of different aspects of Brooklyn. I don't know if I can sum it down to one word, but I would just go good. Yeah, let's go good. That's the word.
USA, one word.
Freedom.
How about music?
Happiness.
And the last one now, journalism, one word.
Pencil. This is what makes it happen.
Amazing. Let's pretend I'm going to meet your brother for a coffee, and I'm going to ask your brother, what is the most beautiful thing about Nick, and what's something that he still needs to work on, to improve on? What he would say?
He would probably, and it's not even just him, it's a common theme amongst people who know me. They would say I tend to get what's the word? Overthink, what people think about me, and at the end of the day, it's not really that important. As long as you just be yourself, that's all you have to really focus on. He would probably describe me basically like a younger version of him. We both have the same sense of humor. We have the same interest. We're both into wrestling, into music. Um, his physique is a little bit more ripped than mine, but he'll probably throw in some jokes about how I should work out, but it's okay because he's the older brother and he thinks he's better. So I'll let that one slide. But yeah, I think that's what it would come down to. Those are the things he would say.
Amazing. Let's play now Nick and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. Okay, Nick, you can ask me a question now.
Okay. What's the hardest question when you do these types of shows? What's your least favorite question to ask?
I love the question. Actually, I've done already over 800 interviews and no one asked me this question yet. Amazing. Right. The first question that came to my mind that I have in the Magic Box that somehow when it comes up, naturally I go like, I feel like, oh my God, I don't know what the person is going to answer because a very heavy question. It's about how would you like to die, or how you're going to die if you don't. How do you think you'll die, or how would you like to die if you could choose? I think it's such a very heavy question, and people, they have different ways of saying and answer to it. But when it comes up, I just go like, okay, there we go again. Let's see what's gonna come up with this question. But yeah, I thought about taking off the Magic Box, but I think it's interesting. People, it's just, you don't know what people gonna say or express themselves about dying, and something that's not it's not a big deal because it's like life. It's gonna happen to everyone. But when it comes up for some reason, I just feel a bit intimidated. I don't know to ask this question. I don't know why. But yeah, that's the hardest question for me to ask when I'm doing the show, for sure.
All right. Yeah, I could totally understand that. If I'll actually answer the question. I'll do a courtesy. I would hope that, in my sleep when I'm like 130 years old, hopefully by then they'll figure out a way to stretch our life expectancy. But yeah, I wouldn't want to go any other way. That's, horrible, miserable. I'd rather accomplish everything I set to accomplish, and then in my bed like Rose at the end of Titanic.
And that's the most frequent answers from people. They just want to go to sleep and done. Don't wake up anymore. Did you have a good time, Nick?
Yeah, 100%. You're a vibe, 100%.
Thank you so much for taking the time for the interview. Thank you so much. But before you go, if you can share a positive message, something that you live by.
Sure. Something I've kind of mentioned a few times already. Words, be yourself. You may not think you're good enough for somebody, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best thing for you either. There's two sides to everything. There's evil, there's good, there's dark, there's light. I'm a Gemini, so I kind of have, well, they call us split personalities, but we're the best zodiac sign. But it is what it is. But yeah, a lot of times you can find yourself at odds. You lean one way, you lean the other way, but ultimately, as long as it's a choice that is going to be representative of you and something that you're fully into, be yourself, even if it rubs people the wrong way. Turn the volume up to 11. As long as you're authentically yourself, there's nothing that anybody else could do to take that away from you.
Absolutely. I think be yourself is the biggest tool that you have to live life and to connect with people and be strong and let people connect with us. I think that's the biggest tool that we have. Be ourselves.
100%.
Thanks so much. Enjoy your weekend and keep in touch. Okay, it was a pleasure to connect with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Brooklyn out.
Bye, Nick. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.